Hey everybody, I'm here with Ron. He's an Uber driver and Lyft driver. What's going on, Ron? How you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Troop?
Good, man. Thanks for taking the time out here. I know you got a busy schedule, but thanks for taking your time to be here
Not a
today.
problem, not a problem.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Tell me about where you grew up, what city, what state
Oh,
you
I
live.
grew up, I've been in Erie all my life. I
Okay.
moved out into the county when my mom remarried for about 10 years, but then
Okay.
came right back into the city.
What part of the city of Erie did you grow up in?
Um, Actually, I grew up right down there at the ball fields on 10th and Hess.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. So tell me about your family. Did you grow up with both parents? Did you grow up
No,
in
my
single
dad
parent?
died when I was 2. Then it was me and my mom till I was 8. Then she remarried a gentleman from Northeast, and we moved out there. And from 8 to 18, I was in Northeast, and then I came back to Erie.
Okay. Do you have any brothers or sisters or siblings or anything like that?
Nope, just stepbrothers and stepsister.
Oh, okay. So, tell me about what about high school? Where'd you go to high school at?
Northeast.
What can you say high school was like for you? Was it were
A
you
lot different than now. You know, class sizes were manageable. You know, teachers. All teachers are caring, but it was more like back then. It was not just a job to them.
Mhm.
You know, a
Right.
lot of the teachers. You know, I mean, I wasn't no angel in school, and I had a couple that would always come here.
Yeah, they took you under
Yeah,
their wing.
and they
Took it
just
personally.
talked to me,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
you know.
So after you left high school, what did you do after high school?
Um, After high school, I just got odds and end jobs and trying to figure out what I was going to do. And later on, I got my associate's degree in graphic design multimedia. I was a little older then, but
Do you have any children of your own or family? Or anything like
yes, I have a girl and 3 boys.
that? Oh, okay, all right. So let's talk about this. I know you taking on a job as a you drive for a living, Uber driver and Lyft driver. So what led you into becoming an Uber driver?
Well, I was out at Bay Valley Foods, and I kept hearing everybody buzzing about Uber. I'm like, what the heck is this Uber? Let me sign up, check it out, just to see what the heck it's, you know.
Right.
And I did, and here I am almost 3.5 years later, and now I've been full time over the past year.
Great. So, is there some type once you decide to? How do you sign up for it to be an Uber driver? How does that
You
happen?
just download the app as a driver, and then you just fill out your information. They do a criminal background check. They check your registration, insurance, license, make sure everything's valid. Your make, model, and year of your car.
Okay. So insurance wise, you mentioned that. Do you have to? It's your car insurance or is
It's
something?
my car insurance, but when I'm on the app, their insurance covers us too.
Okay.
But the problem with theirs is because it's a mass policy, it's like a $2,500 deductible if we have an at-fault accident. So we're better off using our own insurance.
Right. It's pretty cheaper for you. Huh? So is there some type of like training that they put you through before you start driving, or how does that work?
You literally sign up and put your information in there, and they tell you yes or no if you're approved, and tell you to turn the app on and have fun. Basically, what they do.
So, what are the main skills that you feel like someone would need to be successful as an Uber driver?
Time management. You got to be self-disciplined, prioritized, people friendly. That's a must, and you got to like to drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I've gone out. I went out just the other night, Saturday night. I wasn't going to go out, and then I thought, you know what? She got called into work. It's raining. It'll be money. I went out and I made $212 in 5 hours.
Wow. Wow.
Versus $315 driving for 10 hours on St. Patty's Day.
Right. So how much? I mean, you said you got to like to drive. Like, how much can someone drive in a day?
You are allowed to drive 12 hours, and then the app will automatically shut off, and it will not let you sign in for 6 hours.
Okay. So when you're driving somebody, do you talk to them? Do you just leave them alone? How does that work?
I kind of get a feel for them. You know, some get in and they just they want to go where they want to go.
Right.
You know, and then there's other people that'll, oh, how's your day? You know, you've been driving long. How do you like it? You know, or if somebody's talking, they'll be like, hey, Mr. Uber driver, and they'll try to add me into the conversation. What do you think about this? You know, and I'll, you know, so
just small talk.
Yeah, just small talk.
Yeah. Is that the people skills you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't be in there and be getting mad because, like, I get irritated sometimes because when you call for the ride, it tells them in the app. They can watch you in real time on the GPS app where you're at.
Right.
It also pings and says that I've arrived, and then it has a 5-minute timer, which is fine. But do you really think I want to sit there forever? You scheduled the ride. You knew what time you wanted the ride. You knew how long it was going to be. Why are you waiting to the last minute and taking the risk of being canceled? And I'm still going to get paid because I had to cancel you because you didn't show up on time.
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and pass up a $7, $10, $12, $27 surge because you want to take your time when you knew you booked the ride and you knew what time you booked it for.
Right.
You know.
Right. So when you're riding with, I had some people that I work with. I told them I was going to interview today, and I asked some people to make up some of these questions too. So, what is the most common question that customers ask you while you're transporting them?
The most common question is, "What is my most craziest story?"
So a lot of people do ask you that one.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to share any?
One, I can.
Okay.
I picked up these guys down at a frat party at one of the local colleges, and I was taking them up on the west side to the subdivisions. You know, and they were drunk, of course, you know, but they were fun. They had good humor about it. They get in their seats, and I had the one guy sit next to me, and he's telling me how he's the oldest one. He must have been like a senior, and the rest were like juniors or sophomores, and he was always saying how he's the dad of the group. He always has to control them and apologize for them and everything. Well, I dropped them off. It was actually my last ride of the night. I go home, go to bed, and get up the next morning. I'm like, weather don't look too great. Let's go make some money. I went out, about my third ride in. It pops up, and I recognize the address. I get there, and they get in the car, and they look like death. I'm like, hey, fellas, how y'all feeling? And they had this puzzled look on their face. I'm like, yeah, you sat there and got sick outside 3 times, and then you just dove in the back and passed out. You two sat here, and you sat up here telling me you were the dad of the group. And they just all started laughing. They're like, dude, it was just like a clip out of the movie Hangover. Right, Thanks for putting together some of our night.
So that's a funny story. So what are some challenges or, like, I would say, stressful things about this job, or challenges?
When it gets busy and you got people taking, not being courteous, that, you're out there to make money, that's your job. You got other people you want to pick up. Impatient people driving that'll cut you off or beep because you got somebody that might be older trying to get in the car. Mm-hmm. And the side streets are so small, and then they're mad because they got to wait for this person to get in the car. Well,
right. So other drivers kind of, other drivers and stuff like that. Any time you ever deal with like a difficult rider in the car?
Yes.
How was that? I mean,
I picked him up over down here on West 18th at one of the clubs, and he lasted about as far as going around the block and dropping him back off at the club.
So you are like, if the customers are like unruly or uncontrolled, you
certainly can. We have a thing right in the app. We can push a button. It'll actually automatically dispatch a 911 call if it gets too crazy and we can't handle it.
Okay, yeah, because somebody asked me a question about one of the kids that I was talking to. They were like, "What happens if somebody starts getting like having a medical emergency while you're driving?" And you kind of just answered that. You have
we just pull over and hit 911.
Oh, okay.
There's a little. It looks like a little shield for help, and you just hit it, and it'll ask, what do you need, and you hit fire.
Okay, so you
Whatever,
can tell them what's going on.
Yeah, and then they'll call, and then at that time they'll dispatch the call to you.
Okay.
Right through the app.
Right. So how do you know when you've done a good job for a customer?
Just like we get to rate the customer in our experience with the customer, you as the rider also get to rate the driver.
Oh, okay.
And then like in the Uber app, for example, when you go into, like, for us drivers, when we go into our account,
Uh-huh.
if I can get it to pull up, it'll put right on there. Compliments.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like I got a bunch for excellent service, great conversation, expert navigation, late night hero, entertaining driver, neat and tidy, above and beyond. Those are just some of the ones that they have the options of picking.
Right. When it comes to the route, like, is that something that's predetermined by GPS, or are you allowed to, how does that work?
Well, it does do GPS, but if I'm in Erie and I'm Ubering and I know the street, and I know where I'm going, if I know, say, 5:30, I pick somebody up on 11th Street, mm-hmm. and I know 12th Street's going to be busy between 3 and 5. I'm going to shoot across 10th. And then if I have to get back up on 12th, I will, as we get closer to the destination. You can do it. It'll prompt you to try to get you to do a U-turn or turn up this street or that street. After about the third time, it realizes you're not going to listen. Then it'll reroute it the way you plan on going anyway.
Right. So they try to get you back on the route.
Yeah, they call it the fastest route. I had one like when I first started driving. I picked somebody up down here at the Landmark Square Apartments, and it doesn't tell you the destination it just tells you how long the trip is. It doesn't tell you the destination until you actually click it and open it up and look. Well, I didn't even think about it, and the GPS had me go up to 12th Street, get on the connector, get off 26th Street, go across traffic, do that loop, that back thing to go back on to 26th the other way, and then cross traffic across 26th Street on a Friday night. Right. When, if I would have realized that at the time, I would have just went up to 12th, went over to Raspberry, straight up Raspberry over 26th, and I'd have been on the same side of the road.
Right.
But then it's funny because I'll be from here to the door from dropping you off, and it'll say, drop Maurice off now. Mm. And I can see by my line, I know I'm not close enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it'll keep saying stupid things like that. Mm-hmm. Or turn right at the light. And it'll tell me 3 times from a block away till I get right at the light.
Right.
But then I'll be out of town, like because I get a lot of college kids, because I live right over by Penn State, Barron, and Mercyhurst, mm-hmm. that will be going home for break, and I got to take them to Buffalo Airport. I'll be from me to you in the far lane. They'll be like, exit here now. And it's rush hour traffic.
So you've driven people as far as?
I've gone to Toledo, Ohio from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
I picked the guy up at the Amtrak station, and he must have worked for him because I drove him from that one to the one in Toledo.
Wow. Are customers allowed to tip you or?
Yeah, they can either tip in the app or they can give you a cash tip at whatever they feel comfortable giving you.
Okay. Is there but you already answered this. I was going to ask you, is it open to drive as much as you want? Is there a shift? But you already said kind of like that.
I mean, it is pretty much when you want. The only regulation on it is you can't drive more than 12 hours a day.
So you could really drive like 4 late hours, 4 in the morning and 4 at night. You just can't drive you can't drive more than 12.
Because like if you drive the full 12, it'll shut off for 6. So basically, say I went out from like 7 a.m. to 11, mm-hmm. and then it got slow. I could go home, go back out at 3. Well, I wasn't driving for 4 hours, so that comes back. You just can't drive 12 hours straight.
You can't drive 12 hours straight. Okay.
But you can, if you keep taking breaks, you get that time
it goes back. Okay.
Yeah.
So
or if you drive for like Uber and Lyft,
right?
you can shut, when you're getting close, you can shut that one off and use the other app.
Okay. So you do drive for both, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Erie, you almost have to.
Oh, okay. Do you do anything special that you feel like set yourself apart from other Uber drivers, or?
Honestly, not really. I know people that have coolers in their car and everything else. You know, snack trays. Well, Uber riders are like kids. It's not theirs. Mommy and daddy will clean it up. So I'm not going to give them the opportunity to make more of a mess of my car and have to clean it more than I already do. You know what I mean?
Right, I get it. Right.
But I mean,
right.
if they're like, hey, you might, like, you're supposed to put all stops in. But say we're going up to Erie High. Hey, Ron, could you mind stopping at Country Fair? It's on the way. I'll put it. If it's not busy or another ride hasn't been put in queue, I'll pull over and let you run into the store real quick. I don't care.
Right.
You know, it's just about because I know what it's like. I've been out driving. You don't know how many times I got fed driving late night because they're like, "Oh my God, I just left the bar. I'm so hungry." I'm like, "Well, I'm not supposed to stop, dude. You don't understand. If it ain't a mile long line, we'll stop." And then we got there. Man, you been busy all night, yeah. Since you ain't make me put in, man, order whatever you want.
Right.
You know, or
right.
grab yourself a drink
Right.
if it's a convenience store or
Right.
whatever. There's time now. Uber finally got it where there's a little teacup on there which will keep you online, but it won't give you no breaks. I mean, it'll give you a break, but you won't get they won't send you a rider if you hit that teacup.
Oh, okay.
So like if you need to stop and
That'll be
use
like
the restroom or grab a soda or something.
Right.
But usually I make sure I go before and then, because I know I've been doing it so long, I know what time it's going to start getting busy and I'm not going to be able to do anything.
Right. So you kind of know the times to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So do you? How do you know which driving assignments to pick up? How do you know? Like, do they just send them to you, or is there a list that you can choose? Or
It just pings. It pings to I want to say it's the 4 closest drivers, and they will ping you out to no further than 20 minutes away.
Okay.
And like Lyft, I like but I don't like because like last night I drove and I was back and forth across the city 3 or 4 times because there was no drivers out. But luckily they were at least, like if it was a 20-minute ride, it was at least a 20-minute thing to get to them. It was at least a 20-minute ride to where they were going.
Right.
You know, but then you get some that are like 15 minutes away and it's a 3-minute ride.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, I'm not going.
Right.
You know, but at the same token, if I'm driving, I could be en route to you and all of a sudden it'll say trip updated and it'll switch me to somebody else because here's the thing. It's not only that there's not a lot of drivers. If I'm driving to get you it'll show me as unavailable. It won't even show up on the thing. But the minute I pick you up, any rider that's in that vicinity or with, the drop off and in between,
Mm-hmm.
it'll automatically send right to queues out. So that way, like if you're sitting there waiting for a ride and then all of a sudden it's like ding, and you're like, oh, ooh, great, a guy accepted my ride.
Right.
It's because we all had riders, or there wasn't enough out, and one became available.
Someone became available. Yeah.
Where and like I said, Lyft will just change it on you, and you might turn around and only have to go to the next ride 5 minutes away. But they at least give you another ride when they take one from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where Uber, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Once you accept it, that's yours.
Right.
So.
Is there? Do you feel like somebody says, "Well, I'm gonna be an Uber or Lyft driver, and that's all I'm gonna do. Like, I'm not gonna have another job." Like, is there enough money in it to do it as a job, or is it more of a supplemental job? What do you think?
Again, it goes back to discipline, time management, and how much you want, how much drive you have.
You want to show that? What's that? Bring that up a little closer, Ron. So let me see.
Go ahead and take it. That's what I made on Uber, and that's how many hours I drove.
So you made $564.73, and you drove. How many hours did you drive there?
That one is 24 hours and 19 minutes.
Pretty, pretty
Answer
good.
your question?
Yeah. So it all depends on your drive, right? How much you want to, how much you want to work, right?
You literally set what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see what I made in 27 and a half hours. You add another 2.5 hours because Uber's obviously busier than Lyft. I made another 100 and something on top, almost 150 to $200 on top of that for another 2.5 hours. So less than 30 hours, and I made over $700.
Wow.
And I only probably spent maybe 150 in gas.
So
Even with the high gas prices now.
So you gotta like driving, like you said. Is that something you like to drive? And is that something?
I like to drive, but I ain't gonna lie, I like the money.
So you're doing what you got to do to make.
Yeah, it goes back to like when your dad or your grandfather was sitting there and you were coming up, and they'd say, you'll get it, boy. You'll understand. Once you get older, you're gonna work smarter, not harder. Well,
you figured it out, right?
I got a boat, I got a bike, and I traded my 2016 Compass in, and I now, as of last September, have a 2018 Nissan Frontier sitting out there.
Right. So you're doing pretty good for yourself.
So and it's because every chance I can, like I'll be sitting around the house, but like I might go out, maybe I'll wait, and then I'll look at the map, and if the map is lit up, bye. And then, sometimes like I've been out on Sundays where it was busy, but it wasn't enough to cause a surge, and I was still getting back-to-back rides.
Right.
It just, you can never tell.
Right.
A lot of people do drive day, and most of them are done by like 9, 10
That's the
o'clock
kind
at
of
night.
shift, right.
Then there's a couple people that, like me, like I'll drive during the week I'll drive a mixture of their day and night, but usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays is when I do my night driving. If I want a Friday off or a Saturday, I never take a Saturday off because Saturdays is even busier all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a Friday off. I'll go out Sunday, for 5 or 6 hours, and I'm still good for $100, $125 on a Sunday.
Right.
Right.
Can people specifically request you?
No.
Okay, so they can't really do that.
The only way they can do that, like, if you were to message me, like, hey, Ron, I'm really going to need a ride. I've never done Uber. I don't want to get in a car with a stranger. This is where I'm at. I will drive, like, almost to you and be like...
Oh, so you'll be in range of it.
So, yeah, I'll be the closest driver in range. So, and me, I got a trigger finger. As soon as it goes off, I'm like, ping.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I'm on 12th and Ash, you're going to drive kind of right in the area.
I'm gonna come down. If I'm leaving home, I'm gonna come down the connector. As soon as I turn on to 12th Street,
and it pings you. Well, that's.
I'm gonna tell you. Request, and then it's gonna be.
I see.
It's 2 minutes away.
Right, I see how you're doing. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some drivers, they have somebody that they take all the time, and they're not supposed to deal it. But they're a regular, just like when cabbies had regulars.
Right.
And they'll just cash app them or whatever and drive that way. So I mean, there's ways that
your ways around making it happen. Yeah. So do you have, before we end up, once again, I'm here with Ron. He's an Uber and a Lyft driver. He's doing really well at it. Decided to do this for a living. Any advice for anyone looking to do this in the future?
Like I said, if you think you've got what it takes, it's worth it, and you got to do it. But you also have to make sure you take your 30% out, set it off to the side where you're not going to touch it. So at the end of the year, you have it to pay your taxes. you get to write off part of your cell phone bill because you use it for work. Oil changes, inspections, registration, tires, gas. Now with all the COVID stuff going on, disposable wipe, sanitizing wipes, air fresheners, car washes. I'm out driving and I get 20 minutes and I happen to be driving by a Wendy's and I pull in and grab Wendy's. I save my receipt because it shows I was on the clock.
That's all tax deductible.
And it's all the
stuff.
tax deductible.
A student wanted me to ask, with the high gas prices, when they went up, was that like a discouraging thing to you?
At first it was. But like I said, the times I usually drive are guaranteed money nights because just college, they always go out on Tuesdays and Thursdays and on the weekends. Right. Plus, not only that, I have shift change on second and third, going in and out. You know what I mean? Going to work, getting out of work. People going to friends' houses, whatever, what have you. People coming in and out from the airport, going to the casino, going out to the movies. You know, and the weekends it just makes sense.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I make the majority of it on my Friday and Saturday nights.
Right.
You know? I mean, I've gone out 2 weeks ago when taxes first started hitting. It's never busy on a Monday. I turned it on at like 6 in the evening, and I was busy all the way right up until 11 when I decided to go home and go to bed.
It's called quits. Right.
You know? And like before, for the longest time, I never seen anything over. You were lucky if you seen a $7 surge. Now, you'll see anywhere from a $1.50 surge all the way up to $27.
Wow.
Because now that it's dissipated and everybody can get out and about and start moving around a little more freely, they've been cooped up for 2 years. They're going.
Right. People want to be out. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, everybody's like, well, when you refer people, aren't you worried about it taking money away from you? No. Why? I'm not afraid to make long trips. And I know I'm going to be out there longer than they are. Because I literally got addicted when I got approved, it was right at Thanksgiving, the weekend before Thanksgiving. Not realizing college was getting out. I work third shift at Bay Valley. I get out of work, I turn it on. I hit the old Stroman store over there off of Iroquois Ave.
Right.
And I get a ping. It's to go to the college. I go to the college, run into the bus. I spent 3 hours running back and forth up and down the Bacon Front Connector.
Right.
Just to
Kids
go
going home.
to go to the bus station, to go to the train station, couple to the airport. I'm like, maybe this ain't too bad. You know, and I just kept doing it while I was working, and then COVID happened, and I mean, I still had a lot going on then, you know, with working and stuff, but then it got where employers beat their employees to death working with all that were deemed essential. So basically, if you didn't have a perfect record and you weren't an ass-kissing company man, so to speak, and you had under 5 years, corporate basically told them, after you worked us from March to September, 12 on, 2 off, find a way to downsize.
Right.
After that, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna bust my hump like that no more.
Right.
Now, last summer, like I said, I got the bike and the boat. You would have thought I was retired. I was still out making money, but
right.
I was always on the boat.
Right. So
or on the bike.
you basically, I mean, do you prefer this now over like going to a factory or something like that?
Honestly, yeah. Now, because I was making almost $21 an hour as a line utility out where I was at. I average anywhere from $23 an hour to $37.50 an hour.
Right.
To drive.
And you don't feel like that's as hard as or much work as working in a factory, not even.
I don't break a sweat unless my heat is too high. I don't get too hot because I have AC. I don't have somebody behind me yelling about, well, why isn't this done? Why are we doing this? We got to change and do this and do that and do the other, and then we're going to go back to this. No. I don't have to worry about none of that. None of it. My only employer basically is the clients that get in my car. You know,
Right, you just
I
keep
got to
it
be
up.
here. I got to be, okay.